fight scenes are notoriously difficult to write. But in my last video essay featuring Darius and Trundle, we broke down exactly what League of Legends did in their Welcome to Noxus Cinematic I wish more writers would remember when it comes to writing a fight scene. And that's that fight scenes aren't actually about the fight. The more important part is that it's a scene in a story. And so the question you should ask yourself isn't how to write a great fight, it's how do you write a great scene that happens to have a fight in it. And lucky for us, during the Arcane AMA, the writers of Arcane gave us their personal checklist of questions to ask yourself how to write a great scene. So today, we're going to go through their checklist and discover how to write a great fight scene. Katarina versus Elise edition. For this analysis, the focus is going to be on Katarina as she seems to be the primary POV character in this scene. But if you'd like to see this breakdown on other shows or characters, leave a suggestion down below. Now, first question, how does this scene develop the character? Katarina starts this fight in a position of intrigue. She's masked and cloaked, walking through some kind of Noxian masquerade party. She's walking through a crowd of people and peering through the partition looking for something. But what? We see her peer around a corner, looking past a series of dancers, and we see a man. And now we know. This mysterious masked figure has a target. We see her move into the dancing crowd, weaving and circling in time with the others. And what is all of this doing? The writers are signaling to the audience that Katarina doesn't just rush in, she's strategic. She's smart, she's positioning herself. She likes to get close for the perfect kill. But there's a miscalculation on her part. Katarina missed something. Or someone. Elise emerges from the shadow, Katarina's target completely unbothered by this, which tells us something else. Elise is meant to be here. Elise is a bodyguard, which means a big obstacle just got between Katarina and her target, and her job just got a lot harder. But she clearly has no intention to leave. And so, the fight begins. Katarina lunges at her target, attempting to get in close again to kill Elise, but misses, and Elise punishes her with spiders. She quickly removes them, killing one with a dagger that gets surprisingly close to her target, who then moves, which Katarina notices, which means there's potential for an opening. And all of this tells us something about Katarina. The same thing, in fact, that the writers told us about Darius. She doesn't give up. Her focus is on the job, even when her first strike has failed, even when a terrifying spider woman crawled out of the shadows and unleashed spiders upon her, she didn't run. Katarina ducks another strike, planting her weapon into the ground, swings at Elise, who catches her blade and throws her. Katarina lands and then teleports to avoid an attack from Elise, who then begins slinging web at Katarina, who dodges and positions herself for the kill. Her target is dead, and so what does Elise do? She crawls up the wall. The job is done. The fight is over. Katarina is the smiling victor, and Elise transforms into a giant spider. A threat should they cross paths again. So, does this fight scene develop the character? Absolutely. And it does so by setting up expectations for an easy kill and then placing a terrifying obstacle in her way, forcing her to reconsider her options, push through using strength, or reposition yourself using guile. And when push comes to shove, we see her using guile to kill her target. So the lesson? When writing a fight scene, set up expectations for the audience of how the fight is going to go, and then surprise them with an obstacle that undermines the expectations and raises the stakes of the situation. And then use this obstacle to force your character to use different tactics in order to achieve their goal or win their fight. Now, second question, how does this scene further the plot? Now, as far as plot goes, this scene is pretty simple, which makes sense because the scene in total is pretty short. The story, as far as we know, goes, there are competing forces within Noxus. Who are they? What do they want? We don't know. But what we do know is that whatever it is, it's important enough that these forces are willing to pay to kill for it. One side hires Katarina as an assassin, the other side hires Elise as a bodyguard. They fight, Katarina gets her kill, and Elise backs off. Simple, straightforward, effective. World scene starts in one place, end scene in another. And so does that further the plot of the scene? Absolutely. And it does so in a simple and effective way. So the lesson. Plot doesn't have to be complex, and character motivations don't have to be either. Sometimes all you need to motivate a character is a little bit of coin. Last question. How does this scene teach the audience something new about the world? We learn a lot of new things in this scene. We learn that there are people who turn into spiders, and that there are some kind of violent internal conflict occurring in Noxus. And we reaffirm that when it comes to Noxians and fighting, that it's win no matter what. But that winning doesn't always mean brute strength. Guile is equally important. We also learn that Katarina uses some kind of magical daggers that allows her to teleport, which makes her an extremely valuable assassin. And we learn that Noxus throws some killer masquerade balls. But lastly, we learn about the world through the way in which these two characters fight. Katarina is graceful and uses constant situational awareness and relies heavily on her cunning to kill, while Elise uses the brute power of creepy spiders. And so do they teach us new things about the world? Absolutely. And so the lesson when it comes to applying this to a fight scene, use the setting as an arena and use it to influence how the fight functions and flows. Show us the monstrosities of the world waiting to emerge from the shadows. And there you have it. Using the personal checklist of the writers of Arcane to determine whether they wrote a great successful scene, the answer is yes. And they did it through a fight. Throughout this scene, the fight actively serves the plot, tells us more about the world and these characters, and we learned so much about the world in this scene. So, final takeaways. First question, how does this scene develop the character? When writing a fight scene, set up expectations for the audience of how the fight is going to go, and then surprise them with an obstacle that undermines the expectations and raises the stakes of the situation. And then use this obstacle to force your character to use different tactics in order to achieve their goal. Second question, how does this scene further the plot? Plot doesn't have to be complex, and character motivation doesn't need to be either. Sometimes all you need to motivate a character is some coin. Last question, how does this scene teach the audience something new about the world? Use the setting as an arena and use it to influence how the fight functions and flows. Show us the monstrosities that exist in this world waiting to emerge from the shadows. But lastly, the most important thing remains. Remember, when it comes to writing a great fight scene, is that it's about writing a great story. And part of a great story is writing interesting characters overcoming obstacles in interesting ways to achieve their goals. Good storytelling is the engine that drives us into caring about these characters and caring about who wins and who loses and how. And once again, good storytelling is exactly what they did here. And that is how you write a great fight scene. If you enjoyed or found any of this helpful and want to watch more, check out my breakdown on Darius versus Trundle here. Otherwise, thanks for watching, subscribe to help grow the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.